All right, so thank you all. There's plenty of you for attending the Phillipston Town Annual Meeting. I'd like everyone to take a rise if you can, if you're able, so we can do a Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. It is right out back over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so let's get this going. So, thank you everyone again for coming. I would like to take a moment to thank all of the board and committees that put the time and effort into preparing the warrant and the documentation and the meeting together. So thank you to them. There is a tradition to recognize citizens for their service to the community. And I was advised prior to the meeting that we have an individual that I would like to, all of us up here would like to take a moment to recognize Jack Seaman for his dedicated service of more than 20 years to the town and fire department. As of yesterday, he is retired, and we just wanted to take a moment to recognize him and thank him for his service and time. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jack. Okay, so just a few housekeeping items. As we know, COVID-19 masks, the regulations were recently changed. If you are vaccinated, masks are not required. If you are not vaccinated, it is recommended, but it is at your discretion. So I just wanted to put that out there. If everybody could take a moment to silence your phones or put them on vibrate, just so we don't have any unexpected interruptions. So, as the moderator, it's my job to see that we go through all the articles of the warrant and that we have proper discussion. We will be following the rules published in the town meeting time as per the bylaws of the town of Phillipston. With me tonight at the front of the room is the Finance Committee, the Town Clerk, Town Council, Board of Selectmen, as well as the Accountant. At this point in time, I just wanted to see if there were if anyone had any issue with the Town Council potentially speaking on the floor. He's not a resident of Phillipston, so I just wanted to make sure that there was no objections. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to follow up. There was a lot of people that came in since it was mentioned earlier, so I hope everyone was able to get their needed documentation when they checked in. You should have gotten a document. Town Clerk has hers up right now. It has a little colored sheet that has a potential for a ballot vote, as well as some additional documentation. And if you are a registered voter, you should be seated in the middle sections, spreading over here, and back over there. If you're unregistered, you should be located in that area so we can distinguish who is a registered voter and not when votes are required. Okay, if you would like to participate, we ask that you speak into the microphone. Ruth over here has a microphone, so we will give it to you to give you an opportunity to speak. Just state your name and your address at that time. As we discuss the articles, we will be speaking just of the articles, not about any specific people. We ask that you keep the discussion in line with the scope of the article, and once we've reached a point where discussion has reached a level of clarity, we'll be able to move to a vote. So there will be 39 articles this evening, so we have a lot to get through.
Mr. Moderator, I move we dispense with the reading of articles and act on the articles as printed and in the order as they appear on the warrant.
Is there any discussion? It is a little quieter with this microphone. What Ruth was asking is if we could dispense of the reading of the articles. And she said, I move we dispense with the reading of the articles and act on the articles as printed and in order as they appear on the warrant. We had a second move, yes? Okay, second. So, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. We'll move to Article 1.
I move Article 1 as printed.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 2.
I move Article 2 as printed, deleting the words "or act in relation thereto."
Is there any discussion?
I move to amend the article. I think you all have a copy of this probably. I move to amend Article 2 by striking out or removing the complete text entitled Capital Improvement Planning Committee and replacing it with the correct final entire Capital Improvement Planning Committee annual report.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Of you.
What you have in the book
1 moment.
is one of the first drafts of, I am chairman of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. I hope you can all hear me. But that first draft is not our final. What I have here and what has been passed out is the final 2-page annual report of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. And I'm saying that's the one that needs to be in the book. You want to staple it in or something, whatever. But that is what should be in the book.
Okay. So let's just do.
I have crossed out in my book already.
Perfect. Thank you, Opal. Okay. So let's just revisit this. We had a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Okay. It was just brought to my attention that we just passed that it could be amended, so now we will vote on the amended Article 2. So, one more time, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 3.
I move Article 3 is printed, deleting the words "or act in relation thereto."
Any discussion? Second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Move to Article 4.
I move Article 4 as printed, deleting the words "or act in relation thereto."
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 5.
I move Article 5 as printed, deleting the words "or act in relation thereto."
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 6.
I move Article 6 as printed, deleting the words "or act in relation thereto."
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. So for Article 7, I'll be reading the fiscal 2022 proposed amounts next to the board. If there's a question, please acknowledge question. I'll acknowledge that you question the amount. and we'll return back to it after I've gone through all of the numbers. Okay, so for the board or position. Assessors, 4,844. Board of Health, 3,829. Cemetery Commission, 1,007. Constable, 750. Moderator, 377. Planning Board, 6,886. School Committee, 6,046. Selectmen, 9,598. Tax Collector, 28,788. Town Clerk, 48,332. That is all. Article grand total, 110,456.
I move the town set the salary and compensation of all elected town officers as provided by Chapter 41, Section 108 of the General Laws, and raise and appropriate the sum of $110,456.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. I'll be doing the same for Article 8. There are a few more line items, so this will take a little moment. Please stop me if you have any questions. Board, committee, and department. Fiscal year 2022 proposed. Board of Assessors, payroll, 22,110. Expenses, 12,514. Board of Selectmen, salary, 78,796. Question. Selectmen office assistant, 15,210. Expenses, 127,238. Question. Queen Lake payroll, 1,900. Queen Lake expense, 2,100. Information technology expense, 5,000. Capital Improvement Planning Committee, expense, $50. Moderator, expense, $50. Finance Committee, stipend, 827. Expense, 300. Reserve Fund, 40,000. Question. Town Accountant, payroll, 20,000. Expense, 7,695. Town Clerk, Assistant Town Clerk payroll, 3,816. Expense, 4,160. Election and Regis, 4,400. Voter registration, 250. Treasurer, payroll, 19,000. Assistant Treasurer, 3,500. Expense, 7,000. Tax title expenses, 20,000. Group Health Life, 173,871. Social Security Medicare, 15,798. Unemployment comp, 11,810. Worcester Registered Retirement, 152,990. Highway garage debt, 37,940. Queen Lake Dam debt, 70,400. Workers' compensation, 55,762. Vadar, 16,604. Tax collector. Assistant tax collector payroll, 6,705. Expense, 7,300. Dispatch services. Expense, 67,816. Emergency management payroll, $5,612. Expense, $10,000. Fire Department, Fire Chief Salary, $34,490. Fire Clerk Payroll, 0. Fire Rescue Payroll, $178,708. Fire Rescue Expense, $62,450. Police Department, Police Chief Salary, $70,960. Payroll, $214,241. Expenses, $92,923. Animal Control, stipend. Was the question on animal control? On the stipend, okay. $4,770. Question. Expense, $1,905. Board of Health. Board of Health payroll, $31,255. Expenses, $43,653. Building Department, Payroll Inspector, $15,000. Payroll Clerk, $3,600. Expense, $3,420. Inspector of Barns and Animals, stipend, $792. Question. Expense, $100. Board of Appeals, Clerk stipend, $828. Question. Expenses, $120. Conservation Commission, Clerk stipend, $861. Expense, $2,500. Planning Board, Secretary Payroll hourly, $4,780. Elected Clerk stipend, $1,500. Question. Expense, $3,200. Consultant, $25,000. Agriculture Commission, Clerk stipend, $383. Question. Board of Commissions or Department. Expense, $1,539. Highway, Payroll, $171,840. Expense, $56,700. Snow and Ice, $50,000. PMS Building Use Committee, Clerk stipend, $768. Question. Expenses, $200. PMS, Janitor, $15,000. Expenses, Maintenance, $50,000. Cemetery Commission, Payroll, $14,700. Expense, $4,940. Tree Warden, Payroll, $1,800. Expense, $10,500. Library, Payroll, $16,860. Expense, $6,263. Circulation Materials, State, $5,600. Recreation, Expense, $5,358. Historical Commission, Clerk Payroll, $50. Expense, $50. Council on Aging, Expense, $500. Veteran Services, Administration, $5,364. Direct Benefits, $10,000. Article grand total, $2,179,605. So we did have a number of questions, so we'll go back in order from the first. First question that I have identified is under Board of Selectmen salary.
Question that I asked is because up in the salary for the selectmen, it doesn't come out to $796 if you go back to what we voted on before. Which was $9,598, and now $78,000.
That is correct, but if you'll notice, Selectman's office assistant has been broken out of the $96,000. So the the 78 and the 15,000 would be the 96. The two accounts are broken. The one account was broken into two accounts.
So you're saying the 9,598 times 3
No.
would be the 78? Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Okay, which article are you on?
I'm putting two of them together for the selectmen. They don't come out the same. Am I right?
No. Can I answer that?
Yes.
Wait, Opal, the selectmen get paid we split three ways, the 9,000 whatever. In this Board of Selectmen salary account, that's for the office manager, our administrative assistant.
9,000 times 3 is 27.
No. The 9,000 is split between three people, so it's 3,000 and something, 3,200
That's
each
per person?
per person.
Thank you.
But this article is in regard to the office people, not the selectmen.
That's per person, up above.
Yeah, you're referencing Article 7. And we just passed Article 7. We just went through all the numbers for Article 8.
Oh, well, if you look at Article 7, that's where the stipends are for the three selectmen, for the $9,000.
For each one?
No.
No, divided by 3.
I think we already voted on Article 7, so I think we are good. That should be cleared up at this point. Were there any other questions on the salary of the Board of Selectmen for Article 8? The next question was on the expenses under Board of Selectmen for the $127,238.
Okay, I will move that we set the expenses at $227,238.
Is there any discussion?
And the reason for that is if you look at fiscal year 21, somehow we dropped the number from 188,000 to 127, so we're just trying to put it back in line of where it should be. So it's only actually like $38,000 more than last year.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion?
Basically, it would be, we seem to have spent an awful lot on lawyer expenses. So with them going up, it's kind of like, and if it doesn't get spent, it'll clear at the end of the year and go back, it'll come back to us if we don't spend it.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Passes by majority. The next question I have is under the Finance Committee for the stipend of $827.
National taxes, but I pay state taxes every year, and there's no place on my tax form that says the stipend. What are we talking about? Well, the stipend on all the way down here. I think it needs to be readdressed a different word.
See if I can get an answer for you.
Okay. In years past, it's gone from stipend to payroll, back to stipend. It was taken off last year, and it's back as a stipend again this year. But it is their pay for being the clerk of that.
Does legal counsel know where that is on the federal and state tax form, where you can pay stipend?
It's treated as salary. Okay, so it is reported as salary, so if there are taxes or anything on that as a stipend, it would still be registered as a salary, is what council is advising. Have any other discussion on this? Without any further question, we will move on to the next. We had a question for the Finance Committee for the reserve fund of $40,000.
I move that the Finance Reserve Fund be set at $50,000.
You have a second. Is there any discussion?
Okay. Well, actually, we had been, and I think it's the makeup from last year. Last year, we only had $30,000, and we actually went through that with a couple of requests. Granted, that may have had to do with COVID-related stuff, but the thing is, if all of a sudden there's a problem with some accounts, an emergency comes up, we can go to the reserve fund there again. If it doesn't get spent, it goes back into, free cash the following year. If not, if we didn't have it there, we'd have to have a special meeting and ask to take it out of the stabilization account. So it's just one of those, there's 6 of us, it's a 7-member board. If anybody wants to join the Finance Committee, we've got an opening. But it has to be, we all have to vote on that, whether or not we justify it as being an emergency expense.
I have a spreadsheet that goes back to FY 15, and FY 16 it was 40,000. I take it back. FY 15 it was 40,000. FY 16 it was 50,000. FY 17 it was 50,000. FY 18 it was 50,000, and we recommended for FY 19. 60,000, and we've had to use it substantially. There's always something that happens, a blown engine, a piece of equipment that's got to be replaced that doesn't necessarily was figured on, a roof, etc., etc. So this year we thought we'd bring it back to where it was traditionally.
Additional discussion? Not sure who had their hand up first. We'll go with.
I do not have those figures on me right now. I don't know. Like I said, I know this year we're actually looking that we may run out.
Additional questions? Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Fund, which is 13.28%. We're looking to put another $187,000 this year in stabilization, which will bring us to $800,000, which is going to be probably 15%. My concern is that we keep getting taxed on monies that we could just ultimately go back and we'll show us free cash. We had $700,000 of free cash last year, which on my tax bill was almost a $1,000 impact. So I just think we need to be careful when we start thinking about allocating funds and having them, oh, no problem, because we won't spend it, it'll go back to free cash. We're all paying the taxes today on this. And then that free cash comes back and we buy more things that don't show up in our tax again, but isn't spent on the things that we as the town have voted the money should be spent on. And I certainly appreciate that the finance reserve is a very important mechanism to
We have another question. Thank you for stating your name. If you could just state your name and your address, please.
And I made this something, but you wanted an increase to 40,000, but you just mentioned 50,000. When you went down the line items, you said 40,000, which is right in front of us. But it was then mentioned when you went back to 50,000. So why isn't 50,000 included here for us if that's what you are requesting?
The Board of Selectmen answer.
So the question you said was there was 40,000 on the article and you want to know why there's 50,000. There was a question. The question was to bring it back to 50,000. If you're involved in the town or meetings at all, you'll see there's like goes back and forth between the finance committee, different boards, different departments. So it was suggested by the selectmen to bring that account back up to the 50,000, and the finance committee agreed with that. It wasn't done in time to get it onto the article for the warrant, but subsequently when we were reviewing the numbers, it came up. So you're going to hear things like $500,000 for the CARES Act that we might be eligible for and stuff like that. If anybody can go online and look and see, there was $125,000 roughly that the town could have gotten in the first round of the CARES Act. If you look at the documentation from the state, is we got 15,000. So there's a big difference between 15,000 and 500,000. We may get more. We're working on that now. We put somebody in the office just to work on CARES Act reimbursement money. So have some faith in your government. It's only $10,000. The police may come and they may need some. They may need some funding for something, or the fire department. If we don't use the money, it will go back into free cash.
Thank you. Do we have any additional discussion? So when I went through each line item, there were moments where individuals said question. At that point, it would be question, which is where we're at. We're questioning. Well, the question is proposing to increase it from 40 to 50,000. And then at this point in time, we can put it up for vote. If there was a motion to amend, which is what this was. It's a motion to amend to 50,000 from 40,000. So if there's no further discussion, we can have a vote to make that motion to amend. Okay. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. I think we're going to have to do a count on that one. So we do have tellers that are going to be able to assist with the count. Okay, so can I have everybody's attention real quick? All right, so we're going to do a count. These tellers are going to count the individuals who are voted, so in order to do that, we need you to stand up. We're going to do the yeses first. So if you approve to move forward with this and your vote is yay, I need you to stand at this time so we can count you. Thank you. You can sit at this time. Okay, thank you, everyone. So now we're going to move on to the noes. So if your vote was a nay on this, please stand at this time. Thank you. You can be seated now. Okay, so the vote to amend the Finance Committee Reserve Fund from $40,000 to $50,000, we had 65 yeses and 90 noes, so that does not pass. Thank you for working through that with us. So the next item that was questioned was the town clerk expense of $4,160.
I move the town clerk expense be $4,622.
Do we have any discussion?
In all honesty, I think it was a typo because it should be 4622. It wasn't the last 2 years.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? Okay, we'll move to vote. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say no. Nay. Passes unanimously. Next question. Animal control stipend. Looks like we may have multiple stipend questions here, and I know we discussed that earlier on the line items. Is there any additional discussion at this time on the stipend? Okay. So at this point in time, I'm going to give the Finance Committee a moment to reconfigure their final number so we can have a proper vote with the article grand total. This will just take a moment.
All right, I move the town raise and appropriate
Thank you very much.
move to raise and appropriate $2,354,457, pay the town charges for the 12-month period commencing July 1st, 2021, and further that appointing authority shall set salaries for personnel within the amounts appropriated hereunder in accordance with provisions of General Law, Chapter 41, subsection 108.
Can you repeat that number one more time, please?
$2,354,457.
Thank you. So there was a second, but there was also a question over here. Could you please state your name and your address?
Ann Roy, 315 Peterson Road. I have a question. That figure is almost 200,000 more than what was previously stated, and I don't see where we appropriated almost 200,000 more. So, clarify that.
I was the one that calculated the spreadsheet, and I made an error.
Another error.
If you want to go down through, we can add those all up, and this number is the correct number. There was an error on the actual warrant that was posted, and that's, I did it.
So we actually increased by almost 200,000. Is that what we're saying? And that's the 200, the original number, recommended number is incorrect.
The original number on the warrant was incorrect.
Yeah, instead of 2,179,000 that should have actually been.
It would be $2,253,995 for the correction.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? We're acknowledging that there was an error on the warrant for the calculation. We do have the amended amount that Finance Committee just advised of $2,354,457 to vote on. Is there any additional discussion at this time? Okay. There's a question? No, it looks like the total. So the spreadsheet, if you look at the total column, there was an error in probably the formula that caused it to calculate incorrectly of what the total amount is for each line item. Correct. Do you have another question? Okay. Again, so this vote will be for $2,354,457 total. Is there any additional discussion? Question, state your name and address, please. We ask the Finance Committee to comment on that.
No, right now we're voting strictly Article 8. When we get to Article 14, 15, whichever ones, those are funded different places. They are not part of this. This is the general operating budget for all the departments.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? Okay, at this time we're going to take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes by a majority. Okay, so moving on. We're going to move on to Article 9.
I move Article 9 is printed, deleting the words or act in relation thereto.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, nay. Passes unanimously. Article 10.
I move Article 10 is printed, deleting the words or act in relation thereto.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 11.
I move the town vote to raise and appropriate $1,649,304 to pay its share of the Narragansett Regional School District budget for FY22.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. We have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say nay. Passes by a majority. Article 12.
I move to raise and appropriate $201,731 to pay its share of the Montezut Regional Vocational Technical School budget for FY22.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those in favor say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 13.
I move Article 13 is printed, deleting the words or act in relation to thereto.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes by a majority. Article 14.
I move the town transfer from free cash $6,000 to the assessor's property reevaluation expense account.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 15.
I move the town transfer from free cash $25,000 to be used for repairs and maintenance at the Phillipson Memorial School, including all incidental and related expenses to be expended at the discretion of the Select Board.
Any discussion? Question? There's no comment at this time, so I think we're going to move to a vote unless there's additional discussion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes by a majority. Moving on to Article 16.
I move to transfer from free cash $40,000 to be used for general repairs and maintenance on any town-owned buildings, including all incidental and related expenses to be expended at the discretion of the Select Board.
Is there any discussion? Move to vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes by majority. Article 17.
I move to transfer from free cash $5,275 for the treatment of invasive nuisance plant species at Queen Lake, including all incidental or related expenses.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 18.
I move to transfer from free cash $50,000 for the repair and replacement of exterior doors, repair and replacement of windows and insulation above and around offices, hallway, training room, and surrounding area of the fire station, including all incidental or related expenses.
Is there any discussion? Question? Is there any additional discussion? Question? Finance Committee? Sir, can you state your name and address? See if I can get an answer to that. One moment.
So we have looked into those resources, and I've given instructions to the fire chief. And anyway, most of that is for residential work, not for commercial or town work. So we have kind of exhausted that avenue, and this stuff needs to be done. There's not a question about it. Some of the doors, there's gaps like a half inch, 3/4 inch all around the thing. So we're wasting a lot of energy by not addressing these issues.
Okay, thank you. Is there any additional discussion? Question in the back? Anyone can make a motion to make an amendment to one of these articles. Is there any other questions, discussion? Okay, so let's move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Moving on to Article 19.
I move to transfer $50,000 from free cash for the purpose of repairs to the Phillipson Memorial School roof, including all incidental or related expenses.
Okay, is there any discussion? No discussion. Let's move on to a vote. All those, one moment. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm on the building, the school building committee also, that we kind of went dormant because of the children being taken out of school. We're working on right now, there's another committee about doing something to get kids back into the school. I don't know if you want to take a look up around the edge of the roof line here, but there's like water penetration that's coming through. Originally, we were going to put a roof on the whole, re-roof the whole entire building. We had some numbers coming in the area of $500,000. At this time, and we've got to remember, because it has to be prevailing wages and go out to bid and things of that nature. So at this time, the decision from the different committees in the select board, and I think the finance committee also, was let's just keep the building in as good a shape as we can. We have some roofers coming down to give us some prices. There's one section, I believe it's the classrooms, like furthest out to Petersham roadside, that they're looking at re-roofing. This one here obviously needs to be fixed, probably removed also. So the $50,000, even though it sounds like a lot of money, on a building like this, it's really not a lot of money to do roof work. So it's more, we're trying to get like another 5 years out of it if we can, and keep the building dry. So and we'll have more information on that when the school reuse committee brings their report forward, but I don't think they're ready at this time, maybe the end of the month. So.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so we're going to take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 20.
I move to transfer from free cash $30,000 for the purpose of repairing and or replacing the Phillipston School air handling system, including all incidental or related expenses.
Is there any discussion? Question? Finance Committee?
Okay, we are under the impression that it will qualify for the CARES Act funding for the CARES Act relief, but we kind of have to do the funds first and get reimbursed. But we are going to submit for it.
Thank you. Is there any additional discussion? Let's move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 21.
I move a transfer from free cash $9,850 for the purpose of repairing and or replacing the annex roof east side, including all incidental or related expenses.
Is there any discussion? Move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Article 22.
I move to transfer from free cash $9,200 for the purpose of repairing and or replacing the library roof, including all incidental or related expenses.
Any discussion? Move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Moving on to Article 23.
I move to transfer $51,800 from free cash for the purpose of installing air purifiers in town-owned buildings, including all incidental or related expenses. That was $51,800.
Is there any additional discussion? Yep.
Yes, that should also qualify under the CARES Act, and we will be seeking reimbursement.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Question in the back? Question is, are we putting air purifiers in this building? Thank you. Any additional discussion? Move to vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes majority vote. Moving on to Article 24.
I move to transfer from free cash $5,000 for the purchase and equipping of a new mower for the cemetery department.
Any discussion? Question in the back? Is there a request to remove and rescind this article? Second. So it'd be a motion to pass over this article. Okay, so we had a second. Okay, we'll take it to vote. Oh, you want to explain why we want to move on? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to vote to pass over Article 24. One moment, I just need some clarification. Thank you. Okay, so the motion is to amend the article to pass it over. So we're going to have to vote on that, on amending the article to say we're going to pass it over. Then we're going to vote one more time to pass the amended article as it being passed over. So did you have one more question? That's out of order. That motion that we already have takes precedent. Okay, so we're going to take the vote to amend it to be passed over. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, now we're going to vote on Article 24 as amended to be passed over. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, it passed. The amended Article 24 passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to Article 25.
I move we transfer from free cash $7,500 for the services of an arborist or tree service for the maintenance of trees in and around town cemeteries, including all incidental or related expenses.
Any discussion? Move to vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Moving on to Article 26.
I move to transfer from free cash $15,000 to drill a water well for and or replace the water lines at the town annex in the library, including all incidental or related expenses.
Is there any discussion? Move to vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes by a majority. Moving on to Article 27.
I move to transfer from free cash $34,000 to pay for post-bridge training requirements for the police department.
Any discussion? Is there any opposition to have the police chief speak on the floor? No? Okay. Chief Dodge.
Big room tonight. Okay, so for those that aren't aware, the POST is a state legislative act that was imposed this year in the wake of police reform. So what it is, it specifically pertains to part-time police officers. What it's requiring is 200 hours of additional training for all part-time police officers, and they have 1 year to complete it. The way it is broken down, it's over 3 years. They go by first initial of last name. So we have 5 officers going through the first year, 4 the second, and 1 the third. Okay? It's 200 hours of training. We base that off of an average of $20 an hour per officer, which is $4,000. We also have people that work for other agencies, which, with the advice of the FinCom, we broke it down. If they're working for another agency, Phillips is only paying their portion, not the portion for other agencies. The unfortunate thing about this, the MPTC, or the Mass Police Training Committee, was not taken into account when this was enacted. So there was no funding opportunity. There was no input from the MPTC for this. Could there be funding down the road? Potential. There could be, but at this point there is not. So it's kind of up to the towns. When you have full-time agencies that do not employ part-time officers, that's not an issue for them. At the conclusion of this, every part-time officer that you have in town, there'll be one standard after 3 years, and that is certified police officer in Massachusetts.
Okay, so the officers that we have, should we decide to move for another full-time officer position, we could, low-hanging fruit, we'd have people within our ranks that have met the requirements, and they could just transfer from part-time status to full-time status. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Is there any additional discussion? Okay, let's move to vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Moving on to Article 28. Thank you. Could you possibly come up here and we'll get you a microphone? I didn't make out that entire comment. Thank you. Okay, so just so we're following the proper process, I'm going to have the Article 28 go through the proper motion, and as soon as that's done and we go to discussion, we'll let you take over from there, okay? No, you can stay right there. It'll be one moment. Okay, so Article 28.
I move the article as printed, deleting the words "or act in relation thereto."
Okay, is there discussion? Okay, could you just come over here and grab the mic?
Yes, I move to amend the wording on this to sell or convey any or all property acquired by tax taking to sell or convey any or all property that has been no attempt to pay taxes on in the past 2 years due to the fact that we've been in a pandemic and there's people that have had a difficult time trying to pay they're protected on everything else. I'm sorry, I'm not a public speaker.
Yep, we're going to get a little clarity, I think, so everybody has a better understanding. So hopefully it'll help you with what you're trying to do.
I'm going to give a little bit of history on this. And these are properties I know of. I think there are 4 properties in town that were taken by tax title, like before I moved to town 27 years ago. They've been that long. There are 2 pieces of property up on Secret Lake that the town owns that the Secret Lake Association is trying to get us to pay road maintenance fees and fees on these 2 pieces of property. There's a piece of property on Spa Road, and there's a piece of property on Berry Road. All 4 of these were taken, like I said, 25, 30 years ago by tax title. Why don't we sell them and get tax revenue for them, then let them sit there? So now I'm the one that requested this article because I know, and that's why I said not all town-owned property or anything, just those properties that have actually been taken by tax title taking and have been completed a long time ago. Because anything currently in tax title, you can't sell it anyway. It might be in tax taking or tax title, but that doesn't mean it's ever going to be our property. So these are free and clear town pieces of owned property.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so there was no second on that amendment request. There's a second. I think we need to get a motion in writing. Hang on one moment. We appreciate your patience, everyone. This might just take one moment.
Of course, there is the option if Lori wants to withdraw her motion now that she understands what it is.
Okay. Lori, would you like to speak after getting that clarification? Yeah, I'm going to have town council speak to this a little bit for additional clarity.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think in response to your questions that in the land court tax title procedure, which is governed by General Laws Chapter 60, a town cannot sell a piece of property until it acquires title to the property. So that means that the case has to go through the land court process, and the land court has to enter judgment in favor of the town. So for a property that has a tax lien recorded, so if somebody didn't pay their taxes, for example, and the town records a tax lien on the property, then the town can't sell that property until it goes through the land court process and the land court enters judgment in favor of the town. So if it's just a situation where somebody didn't pay their taxes and a lien is recorded on the property, that preserves the town's lien and essentially perfects that interest, but it doesn't allow the town to sell the property until land court enters judgment in the town's favor. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay. There is an additional question. One moment, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So I actually do quite a bit of tax title work. So essentially what happens is the first step in the tax foreclosure process is the town sends out a demand letter, there's an advertisement that's published in the newspaper, and then ultimately there's an instrument of taking which is recorded with the Registry of Deeds. That essentially preserves the town's lien on the property. However, until such time as the town goes through the land court foreclosure process, which would be filing a complaint with the land court, and then the land court would hold a hearing on a motion for a finding to determine how much money is due. The land court sets what's called the return date to give the person time to pay off that balance, and then ultimately, if the balance isn't paid off or there's not a payment agreement that's reached with the town's treasurer collector, then the town would usually at that point move forward. It's a lengthy process before you get to that stage, and that's when the town would file a motion for judgment. Once the motion for judgment is filed, the land court will schedule a hearing. In most instances, the land court will still give the property owner additional time to satisfy that judgment, come up with a payment plan, refinance the property, sell the property, do something, take action in order to preserve their interest, at least preserve the equity and pay off the outstanding balance. But it is a lengthy process typically before the land court will enter judgment. And until the town goes through that entire process, there would not be an ability to sell the property. Ultimately, it's up to the treasurer collector to determine what the terms would be for any payment agreement. But, if somebody's in the process of trying to pay off the outstanding balance and working with the town, at least in my experience in working with a number of different towns in this area, typically the town doesn't usually advance the process in land court while people are making a good faith effort to pay off their outstanding balance.
Thank you. Well, we had one question here first.
Actually, the money would go into general funds, which then, which comes back to the town, and don't have an answer for that. That's really not in this question.
Okay, we move to question right here.
I want to move the question.
So the second one was withdrawn. So we're going to go to the original motion now. We're going to move to question. So right now we're voting on the original motion of Article 20. Thank you. Sorry, I got some clarity. So the motion is to move the question. So we are going to vote to move the question, which would end the discussion. And then at that point in time, we could vote on Article 28. So in order to pass this move the question vote, we need a 2/3 vote. So we're going to have to do a count again. Or if it's unanimous, we can just move on. So in order to determine if it will be unanimous, I'm going to ask for the nays first. So anyone that's opposed, that say nay. Okay, it's unanimous, so we can vote on Article 28. And I'll take the yes votes as well, please. All those in favor say nay.
Yes.
Okay, so now back to Article 28, the original motion. We are going to vote on that at this point in time. So all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Thank you. I appreciate the patience on that one, everyone. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to the capital investment articles. So Article 29.
I move to transfer from free cash $150,000 to the capital investment fund.
Second.
All those, or is there any discussion? Okay, without any discussion, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Okay, Article 30 is a 2/3 vote. Article 30.
I move the article as printed, deleting the words or act in relation thereto.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, similar to before, because this is a 2/3 vote, I'm going to do the nays first. So all those opposed say nay. Okay, so we do have one. So we have to do a count. So we're going to move forward with another vote with a count. So all those in favor, please stand. Okay. Thank you, everyone. You can be seated now. All right, we're going to move to the next part of the vote. All those voting no, please stand. Nay, please stand. What was the yes votes on that? Okay. So Article 30 passes with 154 yeses, 1 no. 154 yeses. Okay, moving on to Article 31.
I move Article 31 is printed, deleting the words or act in relation thereto.
Any discussion? Again, this is a 2/3 vote, so I will ask for the nays first to confirm. If it's unanimous, we don't need to do a count vote. Is there anyone opposed? Say nay. All those in favor say aye. Passes unanimously. Moving on to Article 32.
I move Article 32 is printed, deleting the words or act in relation thereto.
Any discussion? Again, we have a 2/3 vote. I will ask for the noes first. All those opposed say nay. Need to do a counted vote. All right. All opposed, I'm going to do the counted vote. You need to stand for no. We're going to do no's first this time. All those opposed say stand. Okay. We're just doing a quick count for the yeses. Please stand. Okay, there's over 100 people in favor. It passes. Thank you. You can be seated. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to Article 33.
I move Article 33 to transfer from free cash $176,111 to the stabilization fund.
Any discussion? Okay, this is majority vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Moving on to Article 34.
I move Article 34 is printed, deleting the words or act in relation thereto.
Do we have a recommendation from the CPC? It was advised that the CPC recommended this article and all were in favor. Okay, so now we will move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Moving on to Article 35.
My name's Don Clifford. I'm on the CPC. We have to we're required by law to make a report every year. This year we recommend $10,000 for historic reserve, $10,000 for community housing, no, 10%, excuse me, 10%, which is $12,500. Historic Resources Reserve line, Community Housing Reserve line 12.5, Open Space Reserve line 12.5, budgeted reserve line 97,566.78. Any questions? Thank you.
I want to move the article as printed with the recommendations of the amounts of 12,500, 12,500, and 97,566.78.
Is there any discussion? Move to vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes by majority. Okay. Now we'll be moving into the zoning bylaw articles, starting with Article 36. A second to pass over. Is there any discussion? Question? The discussion right now is over to pass over the article. No discussion? There was a motion made, so we're going to vote on it. So it would be a majority vote. It's a motion to pass over, so they're requesting that we pass over. We can still vote to this, to pass it over, so if the vote is no, then it will not pass over. We'll just move forward to the original article, okay? Hey, thank you. Just give me one moment to get clarification from town council. Okay, so, all right, so I got the clarification. So the motion is to pass over the article. At this point in time, we would vote, if you vote yes to pass over the article dies, and we would not vote on it. If the passover fails, then we have to vote on the actual article. Is there any discussion at this point in time with that clarification? They cannot vote.
All right, so I will request a standing vote.
Okay, does everyone understand that? So if you are a registered voter, you should have received the packet that the town clerk is holding. So we're going to do a vote to pass over Article 36. Okay, so the additional clarification. So obviously this is, a very passionate item that everyone wants to make sure that we're voting on properly. And so what we would like to do is, there's a motion currently to change the method of voting. So instead of me saying, everyone say aye or nay, we're going to have you stand, but that's not the typical process. So we need to vote to approve to do a standing counted vote on this. So Unless there's any discussion on that, I'm going to do a vote on that, on doing the standing vote on Article 36. Okay. We're doing is right now we're just trying to clarify we're doing a standing vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Passes by a majority. At this point in time, we are going to do a standing vote to pass over Article 36. Because there's a motion to pass over. So, hang on one moment. Okay, so the motion is to pass over. If you do not want to pass over this vote, vote no. If you want to pass over this vote, vote yes. Okay? That's the clarification because that's the motion on the floor. So we just approved to do a standing vote. So we're going to move to vote right now on passing over the question. Okay. Question? Okay, we'll have counts. Okay, so the question is, if we pass over this question, can it be brought up again in the future? So I'm gonna refer to town council to give additional clarification on this.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. To respond to the question, as I understand the question, and if I don't have it correctly, please let me know, is if this article is passed over this evening, could it be brought back again at a future town meeting? And the answer is probably not, or at least not for 2 years. So and here's why it's not unfortunately a black and white issue. So under General Laws Chapter 48, Section 5, which governs zoning amendments, that if an article is not favorably acted upon by town meeting, there is a 2-year ban on bringing that article in its same form back before town meeting, unless the planning board votes favorably to do so. So it could be, it's really up to the planning board at that stage. So if town meeting votes to pass over this article, it constitutes an unfavorable action from a legal perspective, which would mean that the 2-year ban would go into effect. However, the planning board essentially has the ability to override that if they wish to do so and bring it back within that 2-year period.
Yes, question? The gentleman in the front, can you please identify yourself with your name and address? Fred French, Queen Lake Road was the one that made the motion to pass over. Okay, so now we are going to, unless there's an additional question?
If we don't pass over and we all vote no, does that mean not the 2 years that the planning board might be able to bring this back in? If we decide not to pass this over and vote on it, does that mean then it's completely off and cannot be brought up again, and not that it can possibly be brought back in 2 years and we're back into this scenario?
It'd be the same situation. Is there any additional discussion? Are you all set? Oh, he's not a registered voter. Okay. Question? Question, ma'am? Yes.
I know a lot of us are all here for the same exact reason. Unfortunately, with this
So that is actually out of what we're voting on right now to pass over the question. That discussion isn't part of that. That discussion would be actually part of Article 36. So if the passover doesn't go through, we can reconvene and revisit that.
If we pass over this, as you're asking us to do, that means it goes back to what the original law was, not this or anything else changing it, correct?
Yes, correct. Okay, any additional discussion? Gentlemen? So we want to get in.
My understanding is a track is an endless, regardless of what its shape is, around.
So, sir, your discussion is actually applied to the article itself. Right now, the discussion is to pass over this article completely. So, I'd like to do a vote at this time, a standing vote, as it was decided to pass over this article. Just passing over. Correct. Passing over. Okay, so at this point in time, we're going to move forward unless there's any additional discussion. We're going to move forward with a counted vote to pass over Article 36. All those in favor, please stand. And show your ticket. If you have a ticket in your hand, okay, thank you, everyone. You can be seated at this time. Okay. All those opposed to passing over Article 36, please stand holding your card. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, so we do have the counts. So on the motion to pass over Article 36, we had 78 yeses and 92 noes. So that to pass over that fails. So now we're back to Article 36.
I'll move Article 36 is printed, so now we can hear all the comments.
Second. Any discussion on Article 36? Question, ma'am?
I'm Bonnie House. I live on Blake Corner Road. I'm Bonnie House, and I live on Blake Corner Road. You can hear me now. This article and the other article address what you want the town to become. I'm quite serious. The town is made up of all of us. I'm glad to see so many people here. Town boards have taken the position to react when a situation arises. During a public hearing for the marijuana dispensary, someone asked why Phillipston. The answer was because the town had no regulations in place. It was wide open. We need regulations, we need guidelines in order to in order to make sure that when a situation arises, we're not out of control. Having regulations in place will make the town stronger, not weaker. Being proactive enables the town to stand by a position instead of rushing to rectify a problem. Does the town bow to the wishes of a few individuals whose intention is only their individual freedom, or do we consider the collective freedom of everyone who lives here? What one person does on his property should not affect the health, safety, peace, and quality of life of his neighbors. Each of us deserves respect. The integrity of the town will be lost forever if we have weak laws. Strong laws enable your neighbors who are caused great distress to have a voice.
Thank you. Question?
Yes, I have a question, and I think my question, and I'm hoping that the planning board can answer this. If this article were to pass, does that just mean that there's no future dirt bike and motocross tracks, that any existing are still okay?
Selectman Bernie speak.
So anyway, I'm Bernie Mallon. I'm also the chairman of the planning board, and we did listen to this. We had a public hearing on it. Let me know when it's a little too loud, okay? Anyway, I'm Bernie Mallon. I'm the chairman of the planning board. We did have a public hearing on the citizen petition. I understand Bonnie's passion on this and her frustrations, but my understanding is when you make a zoning bylaw change, and I'll try to get the opinion from council because he's here, is that it does not affect anything that's in place prior to the zoning bylaw change. So I'm not sure where we're going to go with this. If people vote it, what it'll mean is nobody else in town will be able to do it. And that's if it gets by the Attorney General's office, by the way. they'll still have to like go into this, check it. I think typically it takes like 3 months or something like that to do. So again, my understanding is it wouldn't apply to existing uses. I think there's also a question here about if it's a primary use or auxiliary use of the property, what they're doing. If it's a commercial venture or if they're just, their own family out there riding. Those things I can't answer. I really don't know. But I think the spirit of this, by trying to amend the zoning bylaws themselves, brings some complications to anybody that wants to do this. There's going to be a lot of calls to the building inspector, who's going to be the person who has to enforce this bylaw. The one is coming up down the road about the noise bylaw, different story. We'll talk about that after. But this one here would be enforced by the zoning enforcement officer, who is typically here for 2 hours on a Wednesday afternoon. I guess you can try to get some action there, but I'm going to let council speak about, because the question to me was if this would apply to existing operations within the community.
Thank you. So anytime there's a zoning bylaw change, if there's a lawful pre-existing use that predates that particular zoning change, then that would continue to be allowable as a use. So, I don't know enough about the specifics of the property in question and whether or not it is in fact a lawful existing use, but there is the possibility certainly that anything that pre-exists the zoning change would still be allowable, as it would essentially be grandfathered in. The second issue, as Bernie Mallon noted with respect to this, is that typically use tables that are included in a zoning bylaw deal with principal uses of property as opposed to an accessory use. And so, for example, if somebody has a house and they have a large piece of property that they also are using for a recreational purpose for their family and that sort of thing, the question is whether or not this would necessarily apply to that, or if it only applies to a principal use of a property, where in that situation it would be accessory to the principal use, which is residential. So at least as I think it appears the intent is here to essentially ban the use of dirt bike and motocross tracks on property, whether it's a principal or accessory use. This was a citizen's petition. It's not entirely clear if that's what the intent was, but that appears to be what was intended. But you still, even if that was the case, you still do have an issue with the potential grandfathered use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have additional questions. Question?
I'm Jackie Wise, 240 Athol Road. First off, I'm requesting that the vote for the noise bylaw go to a written vote and not by a show of hands, standing, or noise.
We're not on that article at this point in time, so we need to stay within the scope of Article 36.
The noise bylaw was not intended to offend families.
Out of order at this point in time. Yeah, we're still on Article 36. Sir in the back with the hat. Is there any new discussion? Question? Can't hear you, ma'am. Could you come up to the front so we could, or get a microphone?
I'm confused about this simply because it says it's a citizen's petition. Shouldn't that be included in here so I have some idea of what is the petition? You're changing it from what to what? I mean, I don't.
Okay, so the question is surrounding citizens petition. And when there's a citizens petition, it needs to be entered into the warrant exactly as it's submitted. So, okay, if there's no additional discussion, I think we're going to move to a vote on this. It is a 2/3 vote, so we are going to have the ayes stand first. With your card, please, so we can confirm that you are a registered voter. Yes. So, yes is to accept the bylaw. So if you vote aye and you stand for the yes, it means that the article passes. Okay? A vote for no, it does not pass. It's no. Any additional discussion on that? Okay. So it's a counted vote. All those in favor stand. Okay, all of those opposed, nays, stand. Okay, thank you very much. You can be seated. Okay, so the results of the vote. There are 6 yeses, 168 noes. Article 36 fails. We have a question.
Because we left off a piece of it in the motion. Did not include $500 for committee administrative expenses. This was then also
It was part of the motion.
It was because I said as printed, including the amounts that were stated. No, the 500's in there.
Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to move on to Article 37.
I move we pass over Article 37.
Okay. There is a move to pass over Article 37. Discussion, and it's been seconded. There's a discussion question.
Yes, and the originator of the citizens petition requested that we pass over the article. It actually doesn't make sense and shouldn't be on there written that way. So just pass it over.
Okay, so Passover is majority vote. So if you vote yes to pass over the article, it dies. We don't vote on it. If you vote no, it stays, then we do a vote. Okay? So all those in favor of passing over Article 37, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to Article 38.
I move Article 38 as printed.
Is there any discussion? Question?
I just have a question on the way this is worded, that the moderator can't hold any elected position town authority, receiving any power of the budgeting process, but the moderator is responsible for appointing the finance committee, which ultimately has a lot of budget-making authority. So I'm just wondering, I like the spirit of it, but I'm wondering if there should be an amendment to this so that it is clear that the moderator, outside of the appointment of the finance committee, which is in the bylaw already, it would restrict.
We have town council speak to this? Nope. One moment, please.
All right, so I guess to amend, I want to move to amend it to say the elected moderator cannot hold any other elected or appointed position in town that has decision-making. Yeah, just hold any other elected or appointed position in town.
Okay, everyone, so we are going to vote to amend Article 38. The amendment is to change the wording to the elected moderator cannot hold any other elected or appointed position in town. Any discussion? Any discussion? I've had a second already. Question?
Lake Corner Road. We have a proud history of a former selectman being moderator. Why don't we ask Opal Clark how many years she was moderator and a selected woman?
How many years did Opal hold the selectman and moderator position? How many years did you hold a selectman and moderator position in town? 21 years. Thank you for your service. Is there any other questions or discussion? Okay, so we're going to vote on the amendment. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, it passes by a majority. So now we need to vote on the amended version of Article 38. Question?
Eric Olson, 80 Baldwin Hill Road. I think I understand a little about the concern of the town about our moderator being in other positions, but I do feel this article is a little too encompassing. This would mean anybody who's appointed to other positions in town, school committee members, other people who are just volunteering their time. It's hard to find people to get on boards and committees. I don't know that this sort of narrow define or this role needs it. We elect our moderator. If we don't like the moderator, we can change him in an election. I'm against it.
Any additional discussion? No? Okay, we can move to a vote. It is a 2/3 vote on the amended version, so we're going to have to do a standing counted vote. So, I apologize. It is just a majority vote. I apologize for the confusion on that. It is a majority vote on general bylaws for Article 38. So, all those in favor of the amended Article 38 say aye. All those opposed say nay. We're going to do a count. It was not completely clear on what the verdict was. So at this point in time, I ask that all of the ayes stand. Thank you, everyone. You can now be seated. Okay, so now we're going to do a stand for the nays. If your vote is no, please stand. Okay, we do have the results at this time. Can I have everybody's attention? Okay, so this is a majority vote. The total yeses was 95. The total noes was 48. So Article 38 passes. Okay, now we're moving on to Article 39.
Make a motion to bypass Article 39, Jamie Ledger from 258 Petersham Road.
Second.
The motion is to pass over Article 39. I have a second. Is there discussion? I couldn't hear quite. He did state his name and address.
Clarify why I'd like to make this motion. I think this proposed bylaw on the noise ordinance is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever read to our personal liberties on our properties. You would not be able to run a chainsaw for over an hour. You would not be able to run a snowblower for over an hour. If you work hours outside, you wouldn't be able
Okay. If you could just state your name and address so we know. Jamie Ledger, 238 Petersham Road, has made a motion that has been seconded to pass over Article 39. Is there any discussion? Okay, so we're going to vote. If the vote is yes to pass over, the article dies. If you vote no, we go on to discussing and voting on the actual article. Okay, so the vote is to pass over Article 39. Okay, so all those in favor of passing over Article 39, say aye. All those in favor of no, opposed to passing over, say nay. The Passover passes by majority.
I'll move that we dissolve this annual town meeting.
Is there any discussion? None? We good? We need to take a quick vote on that. All those in favor of dissolving, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time at this annual town meeting.